buddy, my Buffalo buddies. This is Billy Sheehan, your bass player, and you're listening to me right here on Heard It on the X.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Heard It on the X, the East Coast premier music talk show. We are at this segment of the show. This has become my favorite segment of the show.
I wish that we didn't even have a show, and this was just all we did was talk to RanKan.
I know, me too. Me too. And RanKan has a new theme song. Do we have the theme song queued up?
Praise the Lord.
Oh, no.
Yes, boys and girls, it's time for the adventures of RanKan. Let's join our favorite rock and roll superhero, DJ RanKan, as he drives his chop pickup into the night, making Buffalo safe from evildoers and playing the latest top 40 hits.
I'm going to keep your mics hot.
RanKan! You gotta love it.
RanKan! Oh, my God.
How can you not love this?
This needs to be my ringtone and my ringback tone immediately.
It's the best theme song ever.
Is this you guys singing?
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys have beautiful voices.
It's harmony.
Welcome down.
Thank you guys for having me again.
Not only is he the, rock and roll superhero, but we actually called him today, I think, at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And he was just getting out of bed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was still in bed.
I had a rough night last night.
Yeah, I guess so.
You still have all your teeth, though, so congrats.
I do have all my teeth, unlike Manny the drummer.
So this is the segment of the show where DJ RanKan, the absolute hottest top 40 DJ in town, tells us about his adventures, and he has more adventures than anybody I know. Obviously, last night was an adventure.
Last night was every day's an adventure.
Yeah,
it was an adventure driving here today. I don't know why, but I sat in Taco Bell drive-thru for 35 minutes, and then decided to just drive over the curb. In the meantime, driving over a small bush because I didn't want to wait that long.
Drive-thrus are the worst.
The worst. I actually rear-ended somebody in the Taco Bell drive-thru last week. So.
What an incredibly lazy society we are too, because we will sit in the drive-thru instead of going up to the counter. Which is nobody goes inside any place anymore.
There's been times I've been at fast food places, and I can see in the window that there's no one in line, and then the drive-thru can be wrapped around around the place twice, and I'm like, I'm not getting out of this car. I'll sit here.
You still sitting in?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we're bringing your buddy on with us too, right, Mike?
Mike Young, yes.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Mike. How are you, man?
I'm doing good.
Hi, Mike.
Do you attest to knowing DJ RanKan here?
No.
Oh, see, he's smart. Mike's smart. He's a smart man. So, now, this week's story is kid-friendly? Is it a kid-friendly story?
This story is definitely kid-friendly.
It's very kid-friendly. It's good.
And we had to bring Mike on board with this story because Mike was the accomplice, and he was there for the entire situation that was at hand. And I don't know what it was that made us do this, but we were just having a good night.
Okay, so what exactly does this story entail?
Well, Mike Young, you always get the cottage the second week in July up at Sunset Bay, right?
I do.
So,
and you know what? It's always a good time.
Always a good time. And I just bought a 9-foot jet boat. It's a Skidoo jet boat. It had like an 800cc motor in it, It's my first boat I ever had.
Yeah.
So, well, that week...
800cc engine on a 9-foot boat.
Yeah.
That's got to be too much engine for a little bit baby boat, right?
No, I mean,
fast.
it was pretty good. It did like 50 miles an hour.
9-foot boat.
Oh, the cruise.
Basically, but the boat was just a chick magnet. Like, we'd just park it in the water. The girls would want to come on the boat and just sit there and look sexy. And
Yeah.
That's basically what it was for. But me and Mike were having a good night, so we decided we were going to take the boat out in the middle of a hurricane.
Oh, that's smart. It's good to be in a 9-foot boat in a hurricane, too.
That's the safest place.
Yes, absolutely.
But, I mean, the boat had a big motor, so we thought we'd be all right, and it was working good. It was really, really good at the time. And me and Mike were just out there. We had our cell phones and our iPods in the Ziploc baggies, and we were just...
We had everything. We had a radio. We had a radio on the thing. It was awesome.
Yeah, not to mention the radio part. I mean, I went to school for mobile electronics, so I like building custom sound systems. So me and Mike, all summer before we put the boat in the water, that week, we built a custom fiberglass subwoofer enclosure in the back of it. We put like $1,000 stereo in this thing, and it was banging.
Let me just preface this story really quickly if I can. This is how much of a psycho. This is why I love this guy. you're in a 9-foot boat in gale force winds, correct? Am I spelling it out?
Literally gale force winds, yeah.
But you make sure that you put your iPhone and your iPod in a plastic bag. You make sure that they're safe.
Well, no,
you guys are totally unsafe.
It was like sprinkling at the
you
time,
didn't want
so
your phone to get wet.
I didn't want the phone to get wet. You know what I mean? And if you guys are familiar with Sunset Bay, there is that break wall there, and we were behind the break wall.
Yes.
Until we decided to go beyond the break wall.
So how did the story end?
All right, so we were out there, and the boat wouldn't get on plane because the waves were just too big. And we were doing fine when we were hitting the waves from front on. Like, we would go over a wave, and then down a wave, and then over a wave, but it was, like, getting kind of scary, so we're like, all right, we got to go back in. So we turned the boat sideways, and Mike just happened to be making a phone call at this time. So he took his phone out of the plastic bag, and he didn't know I was going to turn the boat. And this wave comes right over the side of the boat, almost knocks Mike out of the boat. And
I got drenched.
Drenched. So the boat's starting to fill up with water now. I'm like, oh my god, the boat is literally filling up with water. We're in this little 9-foot boat with this motor. I got to turn the bilge pump on. So the bilge pump's pumping the water out of the boat, but not fast enough because the waves keep on hitting us. So over yonder, I see this big, huge wave coming. I'm like, this is not going to work. The boat's not going to turn in time. This wave is literally going to take us down. So as I'm turning, the wave comes, hits the boat. Mike almost flies out again. I lose my hat because I always wear my hat. My hat's always on my head. If you ever see me, always have a hat on.
He seems upset about the hat.
Yeah,
poor Mike's.
Mike lost a phone.
Mike's phone doesn't work.
But he's got a hat.
Grandkid's hat got wet, so he's upset.
Mike, how many hats have I lost due to boats? Mike?
He's counting.
How many hats have I lost due to boats?
Oh, God, a lot.
So many.
We went back to look for them. They sank. It was not good.
My black New York Yankees hat that I walked in here with today is my 4th one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the boat.
All right.
You see the wave. It's like the Titanic.
The wave's coming, hits
Poor
the
Mike's
boat.
hanging on for dear life.
Hits the boat. We're up to water in our knees right now. SOS. We don't have a flag or flare guns. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and the motor stops.
Oh, no.
Hydrolocked. The air intake sucked the water in. Hydrolock the motor, so now we're floating. We're just dead fish, just out there in the water. So we have these pails. So now we're paddling the boat out. We take the anchor line. We tie the anchor line onto a life preserver. So when the boat goes down, we know where it is.
Yeah.
So basically, we just sit there. We do the salute, and we go down with the ship. The boat sank. So now me and Mike are swimming ashore in this storm because the boat just sank. And over yonder, we see all these crazy jet skier guys. They're waving to us. They're like, hey,
I picture the two
how
of
are
you.
ya?
At this point, I picture the two of you like the Titanic couple, where Mike is maybe on a table and you're just like, I'm never gonna let go, Mike. This is what I'm picturing.
Me and Mike were literally hugging each other.
Oh, yeah, we were holding each other. We were going down together.
It was a bromance moment because we didn't know if we were going to make it out alive. But we did make it to the shore, and we were just so, the adrenaline rush was out of control at that time. And there just so happens to be an old man on a tractor who was just, grazing the sand, making the sand in front of his cottage nice. So he was ready to help us. He was a soldier.
Yeah.
So we found this huge chain, and we hooked it up to his tractor. And then the boat started, the waves were pushing it on the sand closer to the beach. So we hooked it up to the boat, and we dragged the boat up onto the shore. And within another 6 hours, we had the boat running again.
How was the sound system?
The sound
system okay?
The sound system rests in peace.
Oh. What about, now, Mike, what about your phone? Your phone was a goner?
Actually, we had them in a case that was supposed to be waterproof. Since it went down with the boat, completely went underwater. All our phones, iPods, they were drenched. So let's just say they didn't work for a little while, but we let them dry a little bit, and they worked after a couple hours. It was amazing, actually.
Everything worked afterwards, but for 6 to 8 hours, our phones were doing the most random things, text messaging real sentences to random people.
Oh, that's gotta be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was great.
Especially with your phone.
Yeah.
Please. So basically, it turned out to be a pretty good night. No one died.
It was a good ass night.
Mike didn't die. The phones worked. You know,
Yes.
you got to meet a cool old dude.
We met a cool old dude who still remembers us to this day.
Yeah. Was he calling you the idiot kids? There's those idiot kids.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another adventure, a story from the Adventures of RanKan.
I bet you all those hotties on the beach saw that and they're like, those kids are so brave.
Yeah, you know, I got so many chicks because of that night.
Yeah.
They were just like, look at those two masculine men.
Yeah, I'll bet.
This kid's crying about his hat.
Yeah. Did your hat make it? Your hat didn't make it?
The hat didn't make it.
Oh.
Unfortunately.
The hat's the only thing I really lost.
We got to head to a commercial break, but really quickly, would you have traded Mike for the hat? Quickly. If Mike didn't make it and your hat did.
Mike's a pretty good friend. He helped me save the boat.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I gotta get a shout out to Ella Honig,
Oh, Eddie's daughter.
Eddie's daughter,
Yeah,
Ella.
yeah.
So if you're listening, what's up? I see ya. I'll hit you up on Facebook. Say what's up.
And you got to run down to the other studio and go do your show?
In 1 minute, I'm supposed to be on the air,
I
so
can't
I gotta go.
I can't thank you enough, and we're going to see you next week with more Adventures of RanKan, right?
It's Heard It on the X.
We're going to go to a commercial break. Stick around, folks.